Today I'm going to hike out to Blanca Lake and also do a little recon on Kyes Peak to see what the snow situation is like up there. The hike to Blanca is about 3,300 feet of elevation gain, 7.5 miles round trip. It's kind of tricky though because there's a ton of switchbacks in the beginning. I think there's like 37. It's a ridiculous amount of switchbacks. You get to the top and then you climb down 500 feet to Blanca and then you're at the lake. I've heard that the backside down to Blanca right now still has some sketchy snow stuff, so we'll see how that goes. And most of the lake is still frozen, but it's still a great training hike, and it's probably the first time in a decade that I have had this entire place to myself, which is surprising. So it should be a really fun trip. The bugs are out though, which is typical July. It's always super buggy around here in July, so I'm gonna get moving so I don't get eaten alive. So I'm not quite up to the top yet, but I'm already starting to hit some big snow patches. So it takes a little tiny bit of navigation to figure out where the trail goes. So if you have a map, that'll definitely be helpful. Like right here, you can obviously look across and see the trail continues over there, so you know where you're going. But there's also clouds rolling in too, which makes it a little bit more difficult. So we'll see how much snow there is up here. There's more than I thought. To be honest, I thought with all the hot weather that a lot of it would be melting out. You can hear all the runoff down there. So here's Virgin Lake, and as you can see, it's starting to melt out, but it is definitely still frozen for the most part. So far, no snow to navigate on the way down to Blanca, but a ton of annoying blowdowns. So keep an eye out for that. So the way down wasn't that bad. There was no snow until about 0.1 miles leading up to the lake. So it's overall pretty clear except for the blowdowns, which means there's only snow at the very, very top leading down to Virgin Lake, which is about a 1/4 mile stretch of snow. And then it's pretty clear sailing from there. But right now, I am getting skunked. Look at that. That's where the lake is. This is the first time ever that I have the lake to myself. Normally, there's a bunch of college kids up here partying, blasting their music, doing whatever. And it's peaceful, it's quiet, and I can't see anything. What a bummer. I did not expect it to be this socked in. But I'm gonna run down there and take a look. You can hear the outflow. The water is coming out pretty good. You can see some of the lake is melted, but it's still pretty covered. So I would say overall, if you want to get up here to see the turquoise colors of the lake, probably wait till the end of July, and then everything should be pretty melted out at that point, and then you'll be able to hopefully see everything. So let's run down there and take a look. Okay, I'm down on the lake shore, and you can see it's starting to melt out. That whole area over there is melted, and then you can see a lot of the top layer of all the snow is creating all these puddles. So it'll take a couple weeks, but I think it'll probably melt out pretty quick at this point. You can see some of the beautiful coloring that you would typically see in the lake. on a clear sunny day. But yeah, probably wouldn't want to walk out on it, that's for sure. It'll probably break through, but I would imagine if you could see everything, you would see different pockets around the lake that are more melted out around the edges. And then once some of these big sections can start floating around, they'll melt out pretty quick. Let's go check out the outflow and see how that's looking. Look how high up the water is. Normally that log jam right there you jump across to get to that side of the lake over there in the summertime, but the water is covering almost all the logs, and then you can see how fast it's all flowing towards the outlet. Pretty crazy. I don't think I've ever been here this early in the season, but this water is raging. So if you don't know this area, right past the end of the water here, it drops. So you do not want to get sucked into this at all. Okay, that is it for me today. I'm very impressed with how well the Alpine is holding the snowpack this year, which is probably a really good thing with how hot it's been. But if you do come up here, just be careful. You might punch through in different spots. Like coming down to the lake is a rock field, so that's going to start melting out. There's going to be weird holes that you don't really recognize and see as you're coming through. And then when you're standing on the surface or right next to the edge of the lake, just know that you can punch through at any point down here too. So just be cautious. The water is super cold, and try not to go down into that outlet because you're not going to come back. All right, that's it for me. Keep climbing to the peak of your health, and we'll see you in the next video.